I used to use weed recreationally, but then I started to use it to self-medicate, to heal my mentality from what had occurred.
Sometimes he uses your weakness. He will wait for you to somehow believe, oh, I'm still addicted, I just have a better way to. No, you're not addicted anymore. God has already saved you. You're now a new person. If you don't, the Bible says Jesus is the author and the finisher of our faith. There's nowhere there that he mentioned your name.
Experience.
Still addicted?
Still addicted, definitely. I was traveling to Ibadan every day to go and pick up marijuana.
You were what now? Hi guys, good afternoon from where I'm recording at the moment. My name is TitOluwa Sam-Oladapo. Thank you for tuning in. If you're new here, welcome. Before we continue, I would like to say that this video is sponsored by Lighthouse Lekki. It's a mental awareness, wellness, rehabilitation center located at Lekki, and primarily at the moment they focus on rehabilitation of those who are addicted to different kinds of substance abuse. I'm going to link their website link in the description box below. Please do well to visit, and if you know anybody or if you are anyone addicted to something, you don't have to be ashamed about it. Just go to where help is offered and receive help. That's part of what being a Christian is about. Anyway, receiving help is also one of it. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for subscribing, guys. Thank you to over 5,000 of you guys. I appreciate you. Thank you for encouraging my stay in like 4 months. This video is going to go up a day to my birthday. So thank you guys for making my 30th year amazing. Let's approach a goal. Let's have 10k subscribers. So force all your members, all your family members, all your friends, even your enemies. You don't know that if God is going to change them here. Let's force them to, or let's encourage and invite them to subscribe and tune to this channel. It's an amazing one and it's going to bless you. So today I have with me, as you can see, Lawale Eso. He's the lead of Lighthouse Lekki, and today we're going to be talking about Lawale's journey through substance abuse addiction, his journey afterwards, rehabilitation center, and what gave birth to Lighthouse Lekki. Fun fact, guys, this is the second time we're recording this. The first time we had almost 50 minutes material and it got lost. No, 32 minutes of it got lost. We couldn't find it. I tried everything. So he had to, this time around, I didn't go over to the island. He had to come over to record it. But I'm sure that the latter shall be greater than the former. Though I felt like we had an amazing conversation then. But we'll trust God for better, you know, and look forward to you guys getting blessed and getting transformed by his testimony of Jesus, his spirit of prophecy. Therefore, if you are addicted to something, let Lawale's testimony prophesy about your coming out or your victory path as well. You get me? All right. And if you're not addicted to anything, let me tell you, you're addicted to your phone. Me too, I'm there. You get? So before you judge any other person, addiction is addiction. You too, you're addicted to your phone. So it's just like this generation, we found a way to make it look nice, but most of us are addicted to our phones. Before I keep gisting, let Lawale introduce himself.
Okay, well, thank you, Tito. It's a pleasure to do this and do this again. I actually think that our first conversation was excellent. We had it was fantastic. I don't know why it got missing, but I don't know. But I'm excited to do a second one again, and you asked fantastic questions in the first one. So my name is Lawale Eso. I work in Lighthouse Lekki. We are a rehabilitative center.
You work there?
Well, we are introducing the concept of what we call healing hospitality to Nigeria, because we want to incorporate both therapy and a very soothing, comfortable and serene environment where people can heal their body, heal their mind, and also heal their spirit as well. And integrate themselves, reintegrate back into society as a life-changed being, a whole new being. Some of us have incredible past where we've gone through turmoil and some pain and trauma, but these things are approachable, they're workable. We can find peace, and we can find connection and understanding with who we truly are, and that's what we do at Lighthouse. We try to reconnect people and give them a life-changing experience.
I think I like the word healing, well, the phrase healing hospitality. So it's like a hotel for healing, you get, or like a vacation, you get. So I think I really like that, and that's really smart. So yeah, that's what Lighthouse does. But today we want to talk to Lawale about his journey. Lawale was addicted to substance called marijuana, called weed, called Mary Jane. I don't know, there are so many names. That reefer as well. You guys have very cute names for your drugs anyway. And it's the same thing. We kind of have cute names. We kind of make up cute names for our trauma, our history, or sexually abused, sexually violated, all those kind of. We have very cute euphemized names for our trauma and our addiction. So for Lawale, he was addicted to marijuana, also known as weed commonly, and then so many other nicknames. And I think cigarettes was just like this side, like having rice and salad. So cigarettes was like the salad to his addiction. But yeah, he was addicted for a couple of years, and we're going to go into the old Lawale's mind to try to understand exactly why he thought that this was his go-to, not to judge him, but to identify with him, so that the young Lawale can identify with you going through whatever you're going. The younger Lawale is still young, even though you can see gray hair. He's still young. Can't we see gray hair?
I don't think so.
Oh really?
No gray.
Oh really?
No gray.
Lawale, can we just talk about your childhood for just like in like 3 sentences before we just move on to that?
Yeah, definitely. I had an excellent childhood, to be honest. I grew up in a loving family, a very big family and loving family, lots of cousins. We visited each other, and we were very highly connected as well. We were always in the next cousin's house. Loving parents. I have a brother and I have a sister, and I was in the middle, so I had a great family.
All right, cool. So when was the first time you met with weed?
When I was 16 years old.
Okay, 16. What happened?
Well, I'd heard about it before. As a young guy, you hear some people talking about it when you're playing football. You know, my neighbor smokes weed this, weed that, but I'd never encountered it, never seen it. But one day, one of my neighbors came by, and he came by with a stick of marijuana, and well, if I remember right, we were in the house together, and he excused himself to go outside, and I followed him outside, and he went to the corner of the house. I remember that clearly, and he pulled out a stick of marijuana, and I was curious. I didn't say anything. I just watched him, and he lit it and he smoked it, and he asked if I wanted to try, and I said yes.
Why did you say yes?
It was curiosity. It was youthful curiosity.
So you didn't have any aversion towards, okay, I don't want, then he persuades you. You just said yes immediately.
You know, to a certain degree, I think, you know, I grew up in a very well-protected family, a well-protected home, and there wasn't the sense of, when you see something that everyone says stay away from, it's different when it's inside your home, because we were inside my home. So I didn't feel that fear of repercussion. It was more of, okay, so this thing is here, so close to home, and this might be an opportunity to try it. I think my curiosity was more powerful than my fear of repercussion.
Okay, so what happened? Did you get high that day?
Well, so what I remember is I didn't feel anything at that point in time, and nothing happened. But that particular day, there was a party in my old school. There was a reunion in one of my old schools. So I went for the reunion, and in the reunion, I remember feeling vaguely just laughing a lot, full of laughter. I was laughing at everything, and I was peculiarly hungry. So I was eating everything, and on the ride back, I was saying something to somebody in the car, and I forgot what I was saying. And I remember thinking that this must be what it feels like to be high, and I was laughing at the thought. I just felt very, very good, you know, that particular day.
Very good or out of control?
You know, to a certain degree, we're adults now, so we know what out of control feels like.
Okay, but then it was just good.
It was just good.
Okay, cool. Okay, so was it at this point you got addicted?
No.
What happened after?
So once I made contact with the marijuana, it didn't become taboo to me anymore. I wasn't afraid of it. So every now and then I would see it, and that knowledge of I've tried this before and it felt good allowed me to.
Okay, so after the first time, you probably didn't get addicted.
Right.
Okay, so when did you get addicted?
When did I get addicted?
Or what happened after the first time? Let's start from there.
Okay, so after the first time, because I tried it that first time, it wasn't a mystery to me anymore.
Okay.
So anytime you know, before you try it, there's this fear of it. But when someone should pull it out, you might be that one or two people might approach it. And I wasn't afraid of it any longer. So I tried it one or two other times, and I remember the next time I have a good recollection of marijuana was when I got my hands on it and I brought it to my school and tried it in school. So I was kind of pushing the barrier a bit.
Okay. You brought it to school?
Yes.
What secondary school did you go to?
Atlantical.
So it was there?
Yes.
Rich people's school?
I wouldn't call it rich, you know, it was a mixture of different kinds of people. Well, you could say that, yes.
Okay, so you left, you graduated. So after this, it became periodical. Like you could take, or you never did after that? While in secondary school?
I took on and off.
On and off.
Yeah.
So like, that's periodic. So like, what was the gap between, do you remember, like, is it once in 2 weeks, or every other day, or once a week?
I would say,
was it that frequent?
It became it was infrequent. It wasn't every other day, but you see, each time I took it, the less mysterious it was to me. So at some point in time, if I wasn't getting it from a friend, the next time I would go and look for it. I would know where they sell it. So the more I used, the more frequent it became. So eventually, through my course in school, it actually became a daily thing. But at some point in time,
school. Wow. Okay. And you finished?
I finished school. Yes.
So it didn't affect your studies?
No, it didn't.
Did it help?
It didn't really. It definitely didn't help. No.
Okay. So, what happened after this? You graduated, valedictory service.
Yes.
Then what happened?
Well, then I took a year off school, and while I was writing my SATs, I became a heavy user of marijuana. I used to drink, I used to smoke with friends almost every day, and what really changed.
You were how old?
I think at that time I was probably 17, about to be 18.
Wow.
And what really changed the most was the fact that I've always had trouble sleeping. I was one of those kids growing up that kind of really didn't have a good full night. Yes, and I found out that marijuana helped me sleep. So the transition to, maybe, I won't say I was addicted, but to heavy use was when I started bringing it into my home and using it right before I sleep.
And your parents didn't know?
Nobody knew.
Wow, yeah, good secret keeper. You see, it's usually the silent people that actually should be feared. Because if somebody like me, they would have known. They would have known from the first day that something happened. But they didn't. When did your parents know? Just give me an age.
When I got in trouble, I'd say at the age of 18, 19.
So you were in school abroad?
Yes.
What happened? You got into university to study what?
To study law.
Law. Did your dad study law?
Sorry?
Did your dad study law?
No.
Justice Kardashian is his grandfather, so law is like a family legacy. So you actually went for law. Did you want it?
Yes.
Why? Was your grandpa your inspiration?
Yes, but at that point in time when I was young, I had a lot of inspirations. I had a lot. I think those were the times of Gani Fawa and me.
Okay.
These were times, heavy times in Nigeria at that point.
So you really wanted to become something influential, something that would impact Nigeria or the world in general?
And a person who looked out for other people. I was very idealistic when I was young. I like to. So would you say
weed robbed you of that?
Yes.
Okay, let's move on. I actually didn't know that you studied law, but that's an eye opener. Okay, so what happened? You were in school to study law. Do you know? Can you say the name of the university?
Yes.
What was the name?
Clarion University.
Where in
Pennsylvania.
Okay, so you were there, and what happened?
Well, I was there and I got in trouble for marijuana.
So you got in trouble for marijuana. What exactly happened? What was the trouble?
I had a roommate when I first got into school. He was a white guy, and we didn't really kind of connect or get along, but we both smoked marijuana. And I remember he began to go to his hometown to bring marijuana in and to sell it. And then we became close, and he wanted me to be involved in it.
In the selling?
Yes. Well, I never really got involved in the selling, but what happened was one particular day he was out of town, and he called me to say that he had just come back and he had brought some marijuana with him, and I should meet him in the school parking lot. And as I went down to meet him over there, as we were talking, and his boot was filled with bags of marijuana, and we were just talking, looking, marveling over it, police came.
At this time, were there any... Did you have time for girlfriends? Or
yes,
like relationships?
I mean, to be honest, I did have time for relationships, but there's something I want to say about that, if you don't mind.
No problem.
Is one thing personally, when I look back, and I believe a few people might be able to relate with me, is, you know, you have relationships with people, you connect with people, but to be very present with them. Sometimes when you have an addiction, or when you are addicted to something, that addiction is foremost on your mind. So
every other thing is after the addiction.
Secondary.
Okay. So
you might miss important things.
Were you in a relationship at the time?
You mean while I was in America?
No, I mean before the police came, all of that.
No, I wasn't in a relationship.
Before you left America?
I was.
So, but you guys just broke up, or you guys just drifted apart?
We split up because of school. I had to go to America, and I believe she had to go to the UK.
Did she know you were on?
She had heard rumors flying around that, you know, I had kind of gone a little
to the side.
Yes.
And she didn't mind.
Oh, she wasn't happy. She was not happy, but you know, and she didn't really speak much of it at the time. It was later in life that.
Or when you guys talked.
Yes.
Okay, I really wanted to get that side, because sometimes when people are addicted, the influence of the person, the object of their affection, or the person that they really are attracted to, can also account for they're seeking help or they're getting worse inside. So I really wanted to know if that was a part of it. Okay, so now you've been arrested. What happens? A black guy arrested for drugs in America.
first thing is I went to jail in America, and
it's a crime. It's a legal crime.
Well, it was a crime, and I was treated like a criminal.
What happened in jail? You were there for how long?
Probably about a week or two. I don't really remember.
Okay, so what happened in jail? You're in jail. Most likely your parents were not aware. Were they?
No.
So you're alone.
Yes.
What goes on in your head in the cell room?
I was afraid. I was very afraid, and I was very ashamed at that point in time, because I remember thinking, the one thing I remember at that point in time, because I was highly afraid of the circumstance I was in. I was a good kid from a good family, alone in the middle of nowhere in a jail cell. I was being treated like a criminal, and I didn't feel like a criminal. I felt like a good kid from a good family. And I remember thinking that everyone in my family at this point in time is doing something that they're supposed to be doing, and nobody in the world right now actually knows what I'm going through. And you know, it was scary, but that was the first time I knew that I could keep secrets, like really keep secrets from my family.
Okay, so you get out of jail. What happens? Do you decide, okay, I will never touch weed again, or what happened afterwards? Because I mean, that was a scary moment. So what happens?
I was very irresponsible, and I go straight back into marijuana.
When you were in jail, of course, you didn't smoke weed.
No.
So that wasn't enough to break the addiction.
No. But I would say that when I left jail, the trauma from the situation, because I think that's a word I didn't use before, but I was very traumatized by what had happened to me, by being arrested and being put into jail. And also when I was in jail, I was very mouthy then. I said I wanted to be a lawyer.
Okay.
So I used to...
You had a mouth.
I had a mouth back then, and I said a lot of nonsense, and what they did was they put me in solitary confinement.
Oh my goodness.
So it was a very
You really had a mouth.
I did. You know, that was day one.
What?
Day one.
How long did you spend in solitary?
I don't remember. It might have been a day, it might have been less, but you know.
You were there for...
Yeah.
Wow.
They felt the need to do that, and so the whole incident was traumatizing. And what I began to do that I never did before, I used to use weed recreationally, but then I started to use it to self-medicate, to heal my mentality from what had occurred. I didn't want to deal or think about what had happened. I wanted to keep it in the recesses of my mind. Using it
like a coping mechanism.
And at that point, I believe to a lot of people, going to jail might be that scare or fear tactic that will stop the involvement of, you know, the scandalous involvement with marijuana. But in my case, the encounter with the situation, with the policemen, scarred me so deep that I needed to find something to be able to attempt to heal that.
Yeah.
And the only thing I knew at that time, I mean, there was alcohol, there was marijuana, there was cigarettes, there were other drugs, but then I became dependent on everything. I became dependent on it all.
On everything? On
everything, but mostly marijuana, you know, which would be a bad choice for a very long time. And it was a way, as they say, to escape, reality. To escape the reality that you made bad choices and you might possibly be a failure at that point in time.
Okay, so now you're addicted. Your parents still don't know?
No.
So how did your parents find out?
Well, eventually what will happen is I will get in trouble with the school, and my parents would be alerted by that. You
got in trouble with the school? Okay, so you were arrested from school on the school grounds.
Yes.
Did that have any what's the word I'm looking Implication, thank you. Did that have any implication with your schooling there?
Yes, it did.
What was it?
I got expelled from school.
What of the other guy?
He too got.
Was he white?
Was.
Got expelled. Okay, now you're expelled from school. What happens?
Well, so then my dependency on marijuana gets heavier, and I struggle to cope at that point in time. You know, I'm lost, and eventually I make terrible decisions at that point in time. And to cut the story short, what eventually happens is my parents get to know of my circumstance, and they need to come to the US to rescue me from that situation. And
they came? Both of them?
No, my mother came.
Your mom came, okay. So you're back in Nigeria, I guess?
Yeah, they take me back to Nigeria.
What happens?
Well, what happens is the strangest thing to me, and honestly, when I look back, I think this is the thing that should have actually been the motivation to stop drugs, but they forgave me. They forgave me, and they explained to me that, to be honest, life is about downfalls, but it's not how low you fall, but it's your ability to stand back up when you do fall. And I didn't believe them then. I didn't believe them.
You didn't think you could get back up?
I didn't think I could get back up. I was humiliated and I was ashamed, and I'd been through a terrible situation. And worst of all, I lost trust in people, and I lost trust in humanity.
So now what happens after the conversation with parents, forgiveness? What goes on?
I go back to school. They send me to school in the UK.
Law still?
Yes.
You finished?
I don't finish law.
What happens?
My dependency on marijuana is too heavy for me to focus.
Oh, so what course did you finish?
So I went into international politics.
And that was okay?
That was okay.
Really?
I could have finished the law.
But simply put, I was immature. I was too busy focused on my trauma. You see, there is a difference when you are a young person and you're using recreational drugs for recreation. But when you're dependent on it, when you actually are dependent on it, like your life is going to be meaningless without it.
You miss essential moments in life. Like you're not connected to life, you're not present, you're not there, and you don't care as much. And I'm sure a lot of people might see that in family members, where you look at this person and you know deep down that they could be something or someone, but they're just not there. They're not pushing or trying to reach that full potential. You asked a very important question, Tito. You said, what else? What could have been the problem that you were using the marijuana to? And I never dealt with that problem. I never dealt with it. I never opened up. I never shared it. So it was eating me up inside, and I did not connect with people, and I really regret those years. I look back on those years with regret and a bit of... I don't regret much in my life, but those were sad years.
I don't think they are years to be regretted. I think that they are material for what we're talking about now. So they shouldn't be, because in the regrets is where the resurrection is. So if you focus so much on regret, even though it's going to be changing the lives of some other people and helping people be better, you may not fully heal that part. Even if you're doing Lighthouse and you're being a light, point of light, you may never heal that part when the reason you are even to be referred to as point of light is because you went through that. So it may not be the years that you probably would have gone to school, been a lawyer, been doing this and that, probably have gotten tired of law by now, which a lot of my friends, lawyer friends are. They're looking to do something else. But now you have an experiential basis to build helping lives on, and that was sponsored by this journey. Nobody could have had it for you. You couldn't have decided to do it because of recreational drug usage. You had to go through it to get over it, and then be able to get the serum. And okay, so there's something called serum and venom. Snakes, when you want to treat snake bites, they get the serum that is used to treat snake bites is gotten from the venom that the snake uses to kill people. So it's also in the Bible, Hebrews 2, I think 13 and 14, where it says, in as much as the children likewise have partaken of flesh and blood. It was talking about Jesus delivering us. He said he himself likewise shared the same, that through death he may destroy him who had the power of death. So he had to die, yes, to destroy the enemy, to get the power from the devil. He had to die. So he can't look, Jesus cannot look at the whole journey to crucifixion. He can't look at the whole of that and say, oh, I regret that, because that is what gave him the platform to be saved, right? So it's not something, oh, I regret. You don't regret it. That's what makes you more aware now. What will make you regret it now is if this wasn't born. In case you are addicted by now, the Bible says in, I think it's 2 Corinthians 1, I'm not sure, but one of the Corinthians says that blessed be the God of all comfort, who comforts us with all comfort, so that we may comfort others, you know, with the same comfort with which we have received. So the reason God is comforting you, giving you victory, giving you money, giving you abundance, wisdom, is not just for subsistent living, but for abundance that you may share to the world. So people don't have to die anymore because Jesus died. People don't have to be poor because on the cross he received poverty, received sickness and all of that, because he died. So I say all of this to say your journey is actually your purpose. It's not when the journey ends that your purpose begins. No, actually in the journey, you are fulfilling purpose. It may look really messy, which is allowed to do. There's nothing that lives that doesn't die. A corn, before it grows, dies in the so that's why Jesus said, except a cup of wheat falls to the ground and dies, it abides alone. But if it dies, then there's life. If you hold on to your life, you lose it. But if you lose your life, if you die, then you have abundance. I hope I have preached.
That was excellent. And I 100%, you said something, the connection between death and life, and there is a power in between it.
Yeah.
You know, when I look back, it's not, you're right, it's not regret.
It's not.
The only thing is, there is a very soft sadness in knowing that, you know, during those times, they are hard times, they are down times, and let's call a spade a spade. At that point in time, you're letting a lot of people down, but you said it perfectly. There is hope, purpose, continuation. Keep striving forward during those moments, not giving up. Eventually finding the light.
So I think that if you are looking at the time in just looking at the time without looking at it in the big picture, yes, you feel sad. But if you look at it as part of the journey, the big picture. So now when you are looking at Lighthouse is born out of even that moment where you missed moments, those times where you let people down, because I'm sure that everybody you let down, unless they have an issue with themselves, which you can't control, are proud at this point. Unless they, and at that point it's not your business. It's them. Jesus, when he wanted to die on the cross, his mother was there, and I can imagine his mother looking at him like, fam, did you really have to die like this? The pain of vulnerability is minimal to the joy in fulfilling purpose, right? And that's what you're doing. So that you shouldn't look at any part of your life, any part. In fact, you should share with so much pride, because if you could come out, if you could have gotten this low where even you looked at your life and your parents were telling you can come out of it, and you couldn't even see the way out, and you finally came out of it by God's strength and, you know, practical steps, then that's pride. That should give God pride. I mean, you should be able to glory in it. Paul said, I am not worried about my weaknesses. I'm not worried about my struggles, because it is in that God is made strong. It is right in my weakness that God's strength is revealed. Not in my strength, but in my weakness. So you are a shy person. You're here talking and sharing, and this is going to go, you know, live. The thing is, right, the devil is horrible, right? It doesn't like you. It doesn't, man, oh, this thing has changed. But he hates you as a Christian. He does not like you. He does not like any human being, because he did 1 million of what we do as human beings, and God forgives us and threw him out of heaven. So he does not like you in the least, right? And he will not show that dislike with, oh, coming in the middle of the night with it. Nah, sometimes he uses your weakness. He will wait for you to somehow believe, oh, I'm still addicted, I just have a better way to. No, you're not addicted anymore. God has already saved you. You're now a new person. If you don't walk in that reality, if you don't walk in that light, he will wait for you. And it's horrible, I'm telling you. He's going to wait for you at one point where that, because you, somewhere in your mind, you already believe, oh, I'm still addicted, I just have other ways. And that's because you're looking at it from your power, right? You're looking at it from, okay, I have strategies and ways. At times your strategy will fail, because the Bible says the arm of flesh, including your own, will fail you. But when you are totally dependent on God, that, okay, you know, I'm out of it, I've taken all the steps needed. Now the maintenance and sustenance of my faith is Jesus, right? So it's primarily on Jesus. He's going to continue sharing the story. I just wanted to put that out there so that you don't prioritize your healing on you. The Bible says Jesus is the author and the finisher of our faith. There's nowhere there that he mentioned your name. You know, after school, now you did international politics. Yes. You finish. Do you finish?
Yes, I did.
You finish well?
Not good enough for me.
Was it second class lower?
Yes.
Same here. Welcome to my club. But okay, you finish, and do you come back to Nigeria immediately?
Yes.
So do you start working?
I do. I do my NYSC.
Where did you serve?
Kwara
State. Okay. How was that?
It was okay. It was an experience.
Still addicted?
Still addicted, definitely. I was traveling to Ibadan every day to go and pick up marijuana.
You were what now?
Yes.
Every day?
Every day. Well, every other day. Yeah.
Why?
That was the...
Why? They couldn't send... My goodness.
That was...
There wasn't any career working.
I mean, there could have been, but then, of course, you see, was the decisions you make are not rational. You are
what?
You're asking a question.
I'm sorry. I'm actually looking at it from my perspective.
Very...
Yeah.
So it can't be rational.
You had a car.
I had a car.
So you drove every time.
Yes. And I'll go with friends. So it was the thrill.
Yeah, the thrill of it. After Ilorin, you move back to Lagos. Yes. You start working.
Yes.
But where were you? Do you get what I'm saying?
Where was
mentally?
I was going downhill. On the surface, I was doing what other people were doing. I was working. I'd done my NYSC.
Yeah.
But truth be told, I was going downhill. That was the direction I was going. I was less and less present. I was less and less connected with people, especially my family. I was avoiding them at all costs. I was not being honest to people. I was not being honest to myself.
Okay, so you're back in Lagos, you're working. Where were you working? Or what were you doing?
I was a travel agent. I was working in travel business.
Okay, so it looks good on paper, but at what point was rehab necessary?
So it kind of is a blur at this point.
Okay.
Because what happens is what other people say. Because one day everything was fine.
In the video on your website, there's a point where you said people told you that they will see you on the road just walking.
Yes. What happened was I suffered from a psychosis led on by marijuana.
Was it an overdose?
Years of overdose.
Oh, years of overdose. Okay, so it was just one point and it snapped.
You know,
no warning.
There's no warning when these things can happen. It can happen at any point in time, and sometimes it can happen to people in different situations. But in my case, it was triggered by excessive use of marijuana.
Okay, and this happened. Family, they saw this happen. You weren't present, obviously. Like you didn't know what was happening.
Yes.
What happened to you? Was it blank? You just can't remember.
There's some glimpses, flashes. I remember, flashes, and it's been a while now. But what happens is over time,
it starts to come back.
I get instances, conversations I had, thought process, places I went to.
Okay.
You know.
Okay, so your sister insisted.
She had that hard conversation with the parents. I think it's always scary when someone has to be the one to have that conversation.
Yeah. So what happened? Bundled you up to the rehab?
No.
What happened?
Well, I have a very good relationship with my family, so at the point where they needed to take me, somehow, even in my disabled state, I trusted them. So apparently I just got into the car and we just went.
Okay. But you were not conscious fully?
I wasn't fully.
So for the first, how long did you not know where you were exactly?
Well, I definitely know for about a week inside the rehab I was not present. I was not present at all. But all of a sudden when I came to, like, you know, I didn't understand what was going on. I had no idea what was happening now, and you know, for some strange reason, why am I thinking 3 months? Why am I thinking I'm here for 3 months? And I was angry. That was the first emotion I had, to be very angry, and you know, to be out of there.
Okay, so you're in rehab, you're angry. Do your parents come over? Do they have to hold you, or your parents come? What happened? What made you settle in the rehab for 3 months? So you stayed for 3 months, right?
Yes, I stayed for 3 months.
Okay, so
and what happened was, you know, they didn't need to calm me down. They didn't actually need to calm me down. They told me that my parents would come in 2 weeks, so I decided to wait.
For the 2 weeks.
For the 2 weeks, but in those 2 weeks, I was preparing
your speech.
Yes, you know. Obviously, the tactic was to be aggressive and manipulative. It's a very strange situation. I wasn't angry at the people that were there, but I was angry at my parents at the situation. You know, I somehow, I think I understood that I needed to be there, but I wanted to know, I wanted to be in control of what was happening.
And you were not in control?
I was not in control.
No contact with the outside world?
Yes.
Okay, so your parents come over. What does Lawale do?
At first, my plan was to be aggressive with them, but I didn't even have a chance for that, because when I saw their faces, as soon as I saw their faces, I knew that this was no joke. And what happened was they came by themselves. My brother and sister didn't come, but they brought videos.
Well, one was newly married. He couldn't have come.
I don't blame them for not coming. And my sister had gone back to the UK.
Okay.
But what they did was they brought videos of them, you know, explaining to me.
That was really smart.
And when I saw those videos, the things they said to me in those videos.
Do you still have videos?
I don't know. It was on my father's phone, I believe, on my mother's phone. It was a while ago, but I still remember the things they said. And, you know, they were talking about how they were scared. Like, they didn't know exactly what to do when they saw me in that situation. They had grown up with me, and now they were seeing me in a situation that was dangerous and scary.
Yeah.
And they don't know if what they're doing right now is the right thing, but they have to do something. And I saw it in their faces when they were giving that message. I know my brother and sister, I saw it in their face that something happened, and they saw something. And then as soon as that video ended, I looked at my parents, and they were looking at me, and I remember
waiting for a response. Yeah.
And you know, I was pained. I was really pained, but I told them, okay, we're going to do this. We're going to do this 3 months. My father claims that what I said at that point, because I don't remember, but he claims that I said, my words were, I'm going to do this in 3 months, but you guys have to be involved in it as well. He says he remembers that because from that moment on, he has been involved in the journey, in and out. And I spent my 3 months in that rehab every single day, and 3 months is a long time.
Yeah, especially when it's not comfortable.
Especially when it's not comfortable. So,
in rehab, do you remember what happened in rehab? What was the curriculum like for you?
Interesting question. The rehab itself was not like
great.
It was not great at all. It was not great. It was hardcore. But you know, I always say it's what I needed at that time, because you know, I've gone to good schools, I'd gone to a nice home, yeah, and all this stuff, and I, you know, for a place to change my life, I needed a new environment, and it was very mundane. Like, you know, we would wake up. It was very structured, the routines. We would wake up. We would do Bible study early in the morning, about 6 a.m.
Was it Christian?
It was a Christian-based place. By 7, we'll have breakfast. 7 or 8, we'll have breakfast. By 10 o'clock, we'll have a group session, TCM, where we study and talk about the things that we've been studying, and then we express amongst ourselves what our beliefs on addiction is, and then from there on, you know, we have the day to ourselves. But what began to happen was I fell into a life of structure and routine. I had to replace all that time that I was addicted with something, and I began to focus on mental, physical, and spiritual. Spiritually, I began to attend extra Bible studies with some of the pastors that came, and some of the guys and I, we started a book club where we would read a book and we would talk about it, and we would discuss the Bible. I was really, you know, my life changed in that time.
Okay, but usually there are withdrawal symptoms, yes, right? Didn't you have that?
Yes, I did. I did have withdrawals, and that's, you know, you're asking very good questions. I used to have a lot of dreams and nightmares. I used to have serious dreams where I thought I was still smoking, I was still getting high. And actually, I remember that one of those dreams was where I made the decision that when I leave, I'm not going to, because I decided I wasn't going to smoke, but I wasn't going to smoke cigarettes or anything. I was going to be stone sober, because in the dream, it was scary. It was a scary nightmare. But I remember smoking, and when I woke up, the taste, the feeling of it felt bad. It didn't feel good in my body. And I knew then that something is working, and I'm changing. I'm really changing, and it was interesting.
Okay, so out of rehab, you get out after you were 30.
Yes.
You get out. Was this close to 31 or just after 30?
Close to 31.
Okay, so you're out of there. What happens? I don't know if you can go straight to work from there.
It's a good question. No, you know, I had to go and live. I had to start from the beginning.
Yeah.
Went to live with I went to live with my parents.
Okay, so what were you doing?
Well, the first thing I started doing was the exact same routine in rehab.
Okay, cool.
I started.
So you continued it.
Copying it.
Yeah.
Then what happened was, before I left rehab, I'd written down a list of goals that I wanted to achieve when I left. So I started acting on that. And there were small goals, ranging from small goals to big goals. And that changed my life, because there were about 40 goals. And one of the goals was, I want to go and talk to Pastor Paul Adefarasi. I want to talk to this person. I want to do that. I want to...
Did you talk to him?
I actually did.
Really?
I'm telling you, I actually did. I went to his church and I went up to him and I spoke to him, and he said, okay, you know, I can meet him in his back office 10 minutes. And that 10-minute conversation turned into a 40-minute conversation where we were exchanging stories. I won't recount the things that we talked about, but what I was learning at that point was, you spoke about it when you were speaking about your sermon. You spoke about fear, and you spoke about finding freedom by, not to quote, but finding freedom by not being afraid. So what I was learning to do was, you know, I've always been a shy, reserved person ever since I went through my traumatic. I started off being loud and
talking about it.
And I was a indisciplined child, but then when I went through trauma, I became reserved. But when I had these goals, I had to face these fears, and I found freedom in just challenging myself. So I was always upping the ante. And you know, when I was able to do, one of the goals I had was, I have to go on 4 dates with different ladies, and it was, you know, nerve-wracking, obviously, because, you know, but it happened. It actually happened.
I'm going to organize like 4 other blind dates. Because what do you mean by nerve-wracking?
That's another topic for it. You ladies don't know the
What?
Or maybe you guys do. Maybe you know the power that you have over guys. Come on.
You guys, we're going to have another topic.
Yeah.
We're going to actually talk about, because I don't know what he's talking about.
What do you mean, oh ladies? What do you mean?
What do you mean? Assuming you actually found and fell in love with somebody, do you know that you'd have come out of this thing faster? Because you would have been very involved with it, right? But you didn't, because you were loving something else. I mean, we would have helped. You ladies agree with me in the comment section, please. Let him know that. But anyway, I'm happy. I want to know about your faith journey, right? Because it's a spirit. You could have done this thing religiously. It could have become religious. It could have become routine. But true faith in God is defined by your relationship and friendship with God. How did that happen for you?
I was lucky and blessed, because while I was there, faith changed my life. Faith changed my life. My connection with faith.
Faith in God, you mean through Jesus Christ.
It constructed my inner being.
Yeah. Faith also rewrites history. I mean, if you read Paul in Acts, I mean, he desecrated churches, he killed Christians, he supervised. In fact, he was on his way to do some more damage when he was accosted by Jesus. And at some point in his life, he said, I have wronged no man. And you're like, no, exactly not. You have wronged a lot. Number one, Stephen, you held his clothes while he was being stoned to death. You the clothes of other, you were and you are saying I have wronged no man. Why? Because that was the old Saul. He became Paul. And that's exactly what faith does. It doesn't mean, oh, I'm always going to be the Pharisee or Sadducee or religious fanatic and all of that. Once Jesus enters and you believe in him and you trust him and you allow grace to train you, you are a new being. Simple. So it's no more about who you were. It has no power over you unless you give it power. And that's what the enemy wants you to do, to always give him power. He doesn't have power. He's not even a roaring lion. He likes to copy a roaring lion. So yeah, that's very valid. Now, after this is, I think, what birthed Lighthouse.
Yes.
Yes. Do you want to speak on that?
A year after I had left rehab, I had a conversation with my father, and I remember because he remembered that, you know, it's been a year that you've been, it's 1 year you're sober, 1 year sober. And he was looking at me, and I had changed so much from the person I was, not only before I went to rehab, but for the years that they had known me, that I'd developed in life.
Yeah.
I was a totally different person.
Yeah.
And it goes back to that idea. That's why I always remember when my mother was looking at me and
saying, "Are you okay?"
Your loved ones know your potential, and he was pleased, and you know, was like, so how do you feel? And how his question was, how are you able to change? You know, like, what has kept you sober? He wanted to know, and I said it was family. You know, you guys were there. You were supportive. You provided a safe environment for me, you know, and then you guys were in it with me. You were in it. And that conversation led to an idea of, why don't we provide that for other people as well? Because I know from the world I was coming from that there are going to be many people. Like, I was just a young guy who started it and then entered into Quanta and never stopped. And there are many people probably in worse situations than I am, on and worse off drugs, and they're seeing things and doing things that even now they're ashamed, but they can't stop. And maybe if there was that space to provide that support and that attention and that peace,
they would, I mean, get better.
Yeah.
So that's what Lighthouse offers.
That's what Lighthouse.
I feel like Lighthouse is like a cocoon for the butterfly to transition from caterpillar to butterfly. Yeah, so I think that's what it is. It gives you the platform to do that. And Lighthouse has been in existence for how long now?
It's been over a year now,
with over 70% success rates. I'm going to, like I said, link the address and everything. Is on the website, so it's going to be in the description box. Therefore, if you have anybody, or you are addicted to something, drugs, whatever the drug is, meth, cocaine, and the likes, marijuana, it's not God's plan for you. It's purpose when you get out of it, and then you can fully maximize the history of being in it. So please do not hesitate to reach out to them and to tell them Tito sent you. Chickens.
and I'd like to add something, which is I honestly, I'm not just saying this, but it has to be said that, you know, Tito in particular, why Tito is very special and uniquely designed to be able to help spread the message of what Lighthouse is doing is
tomorrow is our birthday.
Is the insight. And she said something earlier, if there's a road, she's walked the road. And I hear Tito speak, I listen to what she says, I listen to her messages and her I watch her videos, and there's something she practices apart from sending her message. It's honesty, and an honest conversation in itself is healing in itself.
Yeah,
there's health and reward in it, and then there's also something as well. There's purpose and guidance. Has chosen to do is to shine a light on it, to speak about it. And you know what, I think to be compassionate about it as well, saying that it's okay. And people need to hear that because there's truth in it. I often look at young children who might hurt themselves or might be alone or scared. And it's one thing to go through a very frightful or painful situation alone by yourself, and it's another thing to kind of be held. Yeah. I believe there's healing in compassion. And even without the professional touch to it, the professional touch helps, but even the experiential consolation, the acknowledgement of it in itself, it takes away the scars, it takes away the trauma, it takes away the ugly side of it. Without that, you remember it for a while. And I believe that is righteous compassion from my own, lack of a better word. That's the way I see it. We're moving into a new world where people are suffering, people are vulnerable, and in my opinion, I think she's a leader. I think she's a leader, and I think she's somebody that has put herself in a situation where she's going to be able to impact many lives. I just wanted to, I believe, I didn't know
it was going to hype me this much. That's not part of the script, you get. But thank you so much for that, Lawale. Thank you guys for watching. Do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Please, you can reach out to him. I don't know if he really does Instagram. I don't know. Follow Lighthouse Lekki. And send your DMs there if you have any questions. But if you want me to ensure that he sees them, send it to me. I'm going to send it to him. Send me your birthday wishes tomorrow, because this is going, thank you, this is going live a day to my birthday, my 30th birthday. Yeah, I have 1 or 2 content for you guys on that day. Remember that there's no pain that is greater than the grace of God, and there's no history that the grace cannot cover and erase. But he won't just erase, he would erase the bad parts and then allow you to bring out the serum so that you can heal other people and be an agent to destroy the work of the enemy. Have a fantastic week, guys. I love you. Bye.